guys, it's Amy here, and today I'm going to be doing my talk on Will Grayson, Will Grayson by John Green. So if you weren't aware, I am a host for the UK Penguin YA Summer Readathon, and my book for the readathon was Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. If you haven't read this book, don't worry, I won't be spoiling you in this video, but I will just be generally talking about the book and giving you my overall feelings on the story. So how did two authors write one book? Basically, the story involves two boys, both called Will Grayson, and John Green and David Levithan have written the separate stories for each Will Grayson. So that means throughout the book, each chapter swaps between David Levithan's Will Grayson and John Green's Will Grayson. I must admit, once I got to the second chapter, I was totally confused because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't realise that we had swapped to a whole different person. But once I got my head around that, I found this to be one of the most enjoyable John Green books I think I have ever read. As I've said in a previous video, I have read all of John Green's books apart from An Abundance of Catherine's, which I'm reading at the moment. As with many people, I really enjoyed The Fault in Our Stars, but I also read The Looking for Alaska last month and actually found that I enjoyed that a lot more. Paper Towns I didn't go so much on, unfortunately, it just wasn't my kind of story. But this one, I wouldn't hesitate to say, is actually now my favourite John Green book. So that the reader can tell the difference between the two Will Graysons, John Green's Will Grayson has his name capitalised and David Levithan's doesn't. So in the first chapter we are introduced to John Green's Will Grayson and his friend Tiny, who is described to us as the world's biggest and most gay person. Now I have to say that Tiny was actually one of my favourite characters in this novel. I found him to be so hilarious. In fact, this entire novel I was laughing so much, and I can't actually remember the last novel that I was properly laughing out loud whilst reading. John Green's Will Grayson struggles with his friendships and he wants to constantly be under the radar at school. He doesn't want to be in the spotlight, whereas his friend Tiny is the complete opposite of what his name suggests. He is constantly throwing himself about the school and making massive exclamations in the corridor and bringing unwanted attention to Will Grayson. Tiny is also creating play about his life, which Will Grayson is obviously a part of, and I don't think Will Grayson is too keen on that. But throughout the novel we see the progression of Tiny's play and whether actually it will be just about him, but it might actually grow to be about something more meaningful. And David Levithan's Will Grayson is a young boy the same age as the other Will Grayson, and he has come to terms with the fact that he is gay, but he doesn't feel the need to share that with anyone else. He doesn't care, he doesn't want anyone else to know. Apart from a strange goth girl at school, he doesn't really have a lot of friends, apart from an online relationship that he's held with a boy called Isaac for over a year. He's never met Isaac, but he's exchanged pictures over the internet and they've added each other on Facebook and things like that, and they have been speaking for a very long time, so it makes Will Grayson very happy to hear that Isaac finally wants to meet. But something very unexpected happens when they finally meet, and it's not to Will Grayson's liking. Obviously in the story the two Will Graysons cross paths at some point, but I won't tell you what and I won't tell you when because otherwise it will kind of spoil the whole point of the story. But I will tell you that when they meet it is really good, and once the stories kind of start melding together and the characters cross over into each other's chapters, it is really funny and it is really brilliant and really enjoyable. I did mention this in my last video, but I will say it again for anyone who didn't see it. I was watching a video by Well Done Books the other day on John Green in general and his other books, and he mentioned that John Green's characters generally don't have voices that fit with their ages, and I would have to agree. These characters are 16, 17, 18 years old and they have the wit and the humour and the vocabulary of a 35-year-old. Now there's nothing wrong with that and it makes for a really funny story, and I wouldn't want it to be any other way because I don't think I would enjoy the book as much. But I would say that it doesn't make for a particularly realistic character portrayal when I know personally I would never have spoken like this when I was younger, and if I did I would have probably been like the coolest person ever. The wit and the comebacks that John Green and David Levithan put in these books is absolutely hilarious, but I wouldn't say it's a true representation of the majority of people that age. Then again, there may be some people who are exactly like this in real life and I would love to meet them. It's not really an issue I have with the story, but it's just a point I'd like to make with most John Green books. When I read them I can tell that somebody older has written them. I think this is all I have to say for the meantime, but if you have any questions on any specific parts of the story because you've read it already, then let me know in the comments. Be aware anybody who hasn't read the book of the comments because there may be spoilers. I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars and I would definitely be rereading it at some point in the future. It's definitely the most funny book I've read in the past couple of years and definitely the most funny I've read this year. That's everything for today guys. I hope you all enjoyed my discussion videos. Let me know if there are any other books that you want me to discuss and do a video like this for. Sometimes I feel like some books just don't justify an entire video made about them, but let me know what you think. Remember to join Casey at the Bitter Productions next week for a discussion on Half Bad. I will leave a links to all the hosts of the readathon down below in case you're not subscribed to them. And as always, I will leave links to Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, everything down below. If you want to befriend me, I would be very happy to accept. I think that's everything for today, guys. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and I will see you soon. Bye! It pulls them down into the sand but radiates the sand off of them so they're still able to move. It's like they're swimming but in the sand. So